No. So I just found out about 5 minutes before coming up here. Usually when I teach, I don't have a coat on, and I'm usually walking around. So I found out the microphones don't move today, so I'm stuck. So if the speech turns out badly, I'm blaming it on that, not on my own content of the speech. So, all right. First, just a word to the parents. Parents, as a fellow parent myself, I want to say congratulations. I know that one of our main goals for our children is that they grow up and be successful, and that they come to college and be college ready. And from the fact that you're here today, it means that you've succeeded and to a large degree. And I know you've no doubt, students, you have no idea how much, until you become a parent, how much your parents have probably sacrificed for you and worried about you to get you to this point. So if we just take one quick second, students, if you wouldn't mind just clapping for your parents and congratulating them. Also, to the parents, I don't know exactly what you're going through. Mine are 4 and 6, but I have an idea. This has got to be a day of some mixed emotions. In addition to the pride, there's probably some sadness. I don't know if this will help, but if it helps to console you at all, just know that the faculty here are among the most impressive people I've ever been around. I don't know of another school with such a collection of professors who are so oriented toward their students, so student-centered, so caring about their students, and good in their disciplines. So if it helps console you at all, just know that your children are in good hands, and if they take full advantage of everything that the faculty here offers them, it'll be time well spent, even if it's away from you for a while. Oh, thanks. All right. Students, so now I'll talk to you. How many of you remember the speeches at your high school graduation? Anybody? Hands? You? Wow, really? That's good. A lot of people did. I mean, a lot of times we don't remember speeches, and those speeches were just 2 months ago. And it's hard to remember speeches. No one ever remembers speeches, which is pretty depressing for someone like me who's been asked to give a speech, right? So my theory is, if I'm going to give a speech, I want it to be memorable, and I don't have any empirical research to back this up, but I think 2 things make a speech memorable. It's got to be short, and it has to be relevant to your lives. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to make the speech short, and I'm going to try to make it relevant to your life. So see how it goes. It's going to be short, 2 points. Remember those 2 points? You'll remember the speech. And it's going to be relevant to your life. So what could be top of your mind right now as you're sitting here? You're at a new school. You're surrounded by new people. Just trying to think what would be most relevant to your life at this particular moment, that you would listen to a speech and not be on your phone. And I thought, well, I was in your shoes once. I was a new student at school and sitting in the chairs and listening to the speeches. And the thing that I was thinking about most at that moment was, I wonder if that girl I saw at check-in would ever go out on a date with me. My guess is, and I know you wouldn't tell your parents this, but if you're at all like me, probably some of you are thinking about your future dating life. They're surrounded by a lot of new people, a new environment. So I'm going to make this speech relevant to your life. I'm going to give you some dating advice. So the 2 points are going to be dating advice. Parents, this is also job and life advice too, but just keep that between us. Let them think it's just dating, all right? So, 2 points. The first point, it's short, it's not what you expect, but first point is this. You want to be successful dating, don't text and drive. Do you know what having an accident does for your dating life? Not so good. I'm just saying. So this is a big passion of mine, anti-texting and driving. This is good life advice in general. You can't really do anything else you want to do in life if you're in legal problems or you're in an accident or sort of texting and driving. And I know what you're all thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, I'm good at it. The thing is, anybody else, you know who else thought they were good at texting and driving? Everybody who ever wrecked texting and driving. The research shows nobody is good at texting and driving, so this is my own passion. Please don't text and drive. It's not worth ruining your future life or delaying your life or anything for a quick text. And I understand. I finally got my first smartphone back in September, finally with the times. And I understand when you hear the beep, the emphasis, the desire to want to answer it. But don't text. And I put my money where my mouth is. If you take one of my classes, if you take the pledge on itcanwait.com, I encourage everyone to do that. If you take a pledge on itcanwait.com, never to text and drive, I give you a little extra credit in my class. I figure it's worth a few extra points to make sure you stay safe. So that's my words on texting and driving. That's first, don't text and drive, first point. Here's my second main point to help you in your dating life. Don't be a dull person. Be interesting instead. Who wants to date dull people? They're dull. Now, luckily, this is one of the few things you are actually in control of. We're not in control of our looks. We're not in control of our height. We're not necessarily in control of how much money we're born with or what, but you are in control of whether you're interesting or not. So, my main plea to you today, use college to make yourself interesting. I fear a lot of you will graduate college and not be interesting. I know a lot of students have graduated college and they're not interesting. And how does that happen? They go into college, and this may be some of the mindset of some of you now. You go into college, you've got one thing on your mind. I gotta get a degree. If I get a degree, I can get a job. So you come into college, you're like, I want to do this job. I need a degree to do a job. What do I need to do to get it? And your advisor talks to you and says, well, you check off this box, this box, this box, this box, and you take that class, and you'll have your piece of paper. And so a lot of students come into school, and they're like, I don't care about learning. College is kind of a hoop to jump so I can get my job. So I've got to get this degree. So I'll take this class, and I'll take that class, and I'll take that class, and then I'll have my piece of paper. You probably did this in high school, right? There's some classes you had to take, and you're like, it's a hoop to jump. It's a box to check. Hey, you know what it'll be like when you're 20? When you're in your 20s after you've graduated and you go out on a date with a college graduate who that was their life, say, oh, tell me about yourself. Got a piece of paper. They can talk about sports or reality TV too, but hey, that could be you, right? But for all of your time that you're going to spend 4 years, 3 to 4 years here, depending on your situation, for all of your time, for all of your effort, and for all of your money, you should want something more than just a piece of paper out of these 4 years here at Niagara, here in college. You should want to be interesting. Use college not to just get that piece of paper, but to make yourself interesting. You could have gone to a school where they're just about the pieces of paper. Right? There's a class of schools, we call them vocational schools sometimes, schools that say, hey, come here, we'll teach you just how to do this job, and you'll do it. And you get your piece of paper, and you can go out into the world, and you can do that job. Lucky for you, you didn't choose to come to and that's fine, vocational schools are great, but that's not what we're about here in Niagara. Lucky for you, you came to a school that's a liberal arts school. It's a school that can make you interesting. So I know, you may have heard this term. Who's heard this term, liberal arts, of the students? You heard it? Yeah, I heard it my whole life. I had no idea what it meant. So I'll give you a quick history lesson. Liberal arts, the word liberal comes from liber, which is Latin for free. And so the liberal arts are the subjects that the free Romans were able to study. It's the ones that they wanted to study. Life in ancient Rome wasn't so hunky-dory. Had to get your food, had to get your shelter. A lot of people were slaves. And the goal of many Romans was to get past just having to take care of the day-to-day necessities and to be free to think about things that weren't just about living. Think about things that make us interesting. Things like, what is the meaning of life? Or, are there gods, and what does that mean for our lives? Or, hey, I wonder what happened in the past, and what does that mean for our lives now? Or, I wonder what these plays and these pieces of literature, they seem pretty entertaining to read. I wonder what they say about our lives. The Romans wanted to study the liberal arts, the free arts, and very few of them got to. At Niagara, ironically, you're not free to study the liberal arts. We force you to do it, right? All right. So you're going to go in. You probably already met during your summer orientation earlier. You probably already met with your advisor, and you were looking at your curriculum card and said, "Oh, I want this piece of paper." Well, let's do this left side of the card first. Let's do all the general education classes. Let's do all the liberal arts classes. Well, let's check off the philosophy. Let's check off the history. Let's check off the literature. Let's check off the religion. Let's check off the language. Let's get those checked off so I can get to my real passion, getting a piece of paper. So you're lucky, more than any other school in the area, and I won't mention them, but most of them start with letters near the beginning of the alphabet. More than any other school around here, Niagara's calling card is, we'll get you your piece of paper. You'll come out of here with a job, or job ready, hopefully a job. But we want you to get more from education than just a piece of paper. We want you to be interesting. Why limit yourself to just a piece of paper? You're here anyway. Make yourself interesting. Now, let me do, so that's the interesting part. This is still kind of in the same ballpark. Make yourself interesting, care about learning, care about your liberal arts classes. I want you to think, let's talk about jobs. Everyone's worried about getting a job, and I completely understand. I'm worried about keeping mine. Hopefully I haven't said anything up here. Puts that in jeopardy. What you want to worry about is your first job. What you need to be even more worried about is your fifth job. Because statistics are starting to show that your generation, you're going to go through several jobs in your lifetime because the jobs keep changing with the way technology is changing. The jobs that are available when you graduate in 2018 may not even exist in 2025. You've got to be able to move with the world as the world moves. And you can't go back to school and get retrained in 2025. I saw a stat, and I've tried to find it, and I can't find it, but it's something like in 2010, 4 or 6 of the top 10 jobs didn't even exist in 2004. If you'd graduated college in 2004, you wouldn't have even been qualified for many of the jobs in 2010. How are you going to keep up with the times? There's only one way. You've got to be a good thinker. You've got to be able to think critically. Because what you learn now for your job is important, but it may not be relevant 10 years down the road. But you don't want your college to be irrelevant then. Make your college relevant by learning how to think. Hey, guess what subjects are good at helping you learn how to think well? Liberal arts. The religions, the philosophies, the literatures, the history, the languages, all these courses, they're designed specifically to help you learn how to think. So when you get out of here in 7-10 years down the road, you'll be able to move with the world. You'll be able to be a good thinker. Now, some of you, if you're still listening, may be thinking, yeah, it doesn't apply to me. I'm going to be an accountant. Right? I know my job. So, funny story. I have a friend who worked for the big 5 accounting firms. Yeah, very good at what it was, a chief financial officer at a firm. I was talking to him randomly the other night, and he said, I used to have to do a lot of hiring. And you might think he hired the person who was the best accountant, who really had that piece of paper that said, I'm the best accountant. But he said, no, a lot of people will have your piece of paper. That's not going to make you special. A lot of people, even from those other schools I mentioned, will have or that I didn't mention, they'll have pieces of paper. What's going to make you special is whether you're interesting. He said to me, he's like, I didn't even ask them about their accountancy abilities at that point. They had already passed that bar by the time they get to me. What did I do? I hired the ones I found interesting. I hired the ones I want to be around 12 hours a day. I hired the ones that could think well. I didn't care just about their pieces of paper. No matter what field you go into, being able to think well and being interesting is going to be important. I mean, you can go through life dull and with your piece of paper, but why? You deserve more. So, Make yourself special, make yourself different, and that's usually attractive on dates. Don't text and drive, and use college to make yourself interesting. Thank you for coming today. It's great to have you at NU.